Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Needville Global Methodist Church YouTube channel. I hope you're having a wonderful week. I apologize that our weekly Bible study is slightly late today, but I had a young child who was sick all night last night, and so he is at home with me today instead of being at school, so it threw my whole schedule off. But hopefully it's not too late that you missed it completely. But this is our weekly Bible study, or in this case, it's just a weekly study on how to be a better Christian. And in this case, it's better relationship building. We've been talking about marriage specifically, but as I said in the past couple of lessons, this is not just about marriage, even though that is where I'm going with it. That is what I'm going to be talking about, the vernacular I'm talking about. There are going to be plenty of you out there that are either not in a marriage, you're not looking for marriage for whatever reason that might be. But at the end of the day, the Bible does tell us one thing about us as humans. We are not individuals. We are not supposed to go through this life solo. We are supposed to have companionship. We are supposed to have close ties, close relations. It is the only way to make it through this world and to make it through this life. Remember what I said at the very beginning of this lesson of this series. When you go into Genesis, what does God do? When he creates the whole world, every time he creates something, this is good, that is good, this is good, that is good. He makes man and goes, ooh, not good that man is alone, right? Man was good, just not good that he was alone. Not good that humans were alone. We can't be alone. That's not how we were made. That's not how we were created. That is not our purpose. And so, regardless of if you're looking to be in a marriage or you are in a married relationship, or you're not looking for that relationship for whatever reason that might be, these points, what we're talking about is how you build and maintain a deep, intimate, close relationship with someone, which is what you absolutely need in order to be the Christian that you're supposed to be the person that you're supposed to be. God does not want you to go through this life by yourself. God did not create you to go through this life by yourself. You need those people around you. You need that person around you. You need, to quote Genesis, your helper. All right. And that's what this is all about. That's what these lessons are all about, is building that up and maintaining that kind of relationship with the other person. Now, as I said, we will be talking about it through the lens of marriage. So if you are not looking for marriage for whatever reason that might be, take the points that we're talking about and extrapolate what you need in order to find that best friend that can be that confidant, that intimate relation that you have. There are only a few things that will be different from that relationship and a married one. All right. Now, as I said before, we are utilizing a book by Dr. Gottman, The 7 Rules, right, or 7 principles, as I should say, as the title goes, the 7 principles for marriage. The title, you can find it down in the description, a link to Amazon where you could purchase that book. If you are in a marriage, this is the book that I use every time I marry someone, every time I perform a marriage. This is part of the premarital counseling bit. I give them this book because it is that important. It does wonderful things for your marriage. And as I said before, even if you're not looking for that marriage relationship, this is a great way to make sure that you have at least one person in this world that you are that close with and you can build and maintain that relationship with them. Now, as I said before, Dr. Gottman is, I can't speak to his faith. I don't know it. I don't know who he is personally. I only know him through his work and through his book. So I want to put the Christian spin, as it were, on it. And so today, our lesson is all about turning towards the other, right? That is the point of this week's lesson. And to start, as I think we always should, we start in Scripture. I'm going to go to the letter of the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 2, and it's very simple. Paul tells the Galatians, bear one another's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Now, of course, the rest of the chapter, the rest of the letter is very important. Go and read all of it. But to just focus on that one verse, the whole point is Paul telling the people, look, you've got to help each other out. A burden is only a burden when only one person is trying to carry it. When multiple people pick it up, it becomes a lot lighter. If you've ever tried to move anyone out of an apartment or out of a house, you know how that works, right? You may not be able to pick up the couch, but three of you can, right? And that's kind of the idea. We are supposed to help each other out. We are supposed to turn towards each other. Now, as I said, we're talking about marriage here. And so in a marriage partnership here, it's the idea of turning towards each other instead of turning away from each other. All right. So take for an example, and this is one of the examples that he gives in the book. Your partner comes to you, your spouse comes to you and says, I've had a really terrible day at work. Now, the example of turning towards that person is, I'm so sorry to hear that. Tell me about your day. Tell me about what made it so bad. Now, in that situation, it's not a fact, and this is hard, and this is for me. All right, this is, you know, you hear me say this all the time. What I preach is what I need to hear more than anyone else. Right? I'm a fixer. I want to not only hear what my wife tells me, I want to be the one that tries to and actually does fix the problem. But 9 times out of 10, that's not what she's looking for. She's looking for someone just to say what she needs, and for me to be the one that says, I'm sorry that happened, and truly listening to what she has to say instead of trying to figure out how to fix the problem. And that's what this is. Turning towards your partner, turning towards your spouse is the act of truly listening and putting yourself in their situation, putting yourself in their shoes and giving them support. When you hear that statement of, I had a bad day, it's not, well, let me figure out how to fix that. It's a, tell me about it. What happened? I want to hear what you experienced. I want to live with you. Now, of course, the opposite of that, the one that's turning away from your spouse, is when you would look at them and go, I don't have time for you right now. I don't have time to talk right now. I don't have time to listen right now. Now, sometimes that is the honest answer, right? If you're in the middle of something and you just physically cannot get away from what it is, but answering with, I don't have time to talk right now is not going to be the right way of saying it. Maybe the best way of saying it is, can we talk about this in 10 minutes? I need to finish this. I need to do this. But I hear you. I see you. I understand that you had a bad day. I understand that you need to talk. I understand that you need me right now. I can't be present with you right now, but I want to be. In 15 minutes, in 10 minutes, in an hour, whatever it is, I'll be with you and I will be fully present with you. And then the biggest part of that is honor that, right? Because I know I'm guilty of it. I've done that before. I've said that to my wife. I've said, okay, look, I can't do anything right now. I'm in the middle of a project. I'm in the middle of something that I cannot put down. So give me 10 minutes, give me 15 minutes, give me an hour, whatever it is, give me this time to finish up what I'm doing, and then I will be all yours. But I can promise you that there have been a number of times when I've said, give me 15 minutes to finish this, and 3 hours later, I'm either still in the middle of whatever it was, or I've gone on to something else because I've completely forgotten that I told her that I would be there for her. The most important thing you can do is focus right there. Choosing to turn towards each other builds that relationship and that trust between a husband and wife. Because the fact of the matter is that relationship, that husband and wife, it is you and her, or you and him, against the world. That is how marriage is supposed to work. Now, I'll never forget, I still will never forget this. It was probably one of the most important lessons that my father ever taught me. I don't think he actually intended to teach me the lesson. As a matter of fact, I think he was so angry with me, he was just saying stuff to tell me where where I stood, because I was a snot-nosed little teenager that needed to be told that. But my mom and I always used to get into fights. Not fist fights. I did that, but I mean, our personalities were very different. Still are. But now that I've grown up and matured, we have a much closer relationship. But we always were at odds with each other when I was growing up. And I'll never forget that there were a number of times where I would lash out at her verbally, of course, and she would lash out verbally at me, and we would go after each other, verbal jousting between the two of us. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but I had hurt my mother verbally, emotionally. And my dad came home and he looked at me and he said, "I love you more than anything in this world," which I know is true. He said, "You are my son, but she is my wife. And I promise to defend her against anyone on this planet, including you." And as I said, I don't think he meant to train me to be a good husband in that particular moment. I think he was really just defending the honor of his beloved, of his wife. But I will never forget that lesson. That my job as husband and her job as wife is to defend each other against all other people, is to turn towards each other no matter what. Your spouse, the one you promised in front of God, your family, your friends, in the church, or wherever it was that you got married, when you took that vow, for better, for worse, for rich, for poor, all those things that you promised to do because you wanted her as your wife and you wanted him as your husband, that means against all foes, all people, all things. And the only way that vow gets upheld, the only way that marriage stays together through the thick and the thin, is when both people continually turn towards each other. That you have her back and she has your back, or vice versa, right? That's what it means to turn towards each other. That is how you build that kind of relationship. And that is how you maintain that intimate relationship and let it grow and grow and grow.